Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram, Hare Nam, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Nam Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarobhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyev च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Thank you everyone for joining for Ekadasi chanting. As every Ekadasi, we do reading of the glories of Ekadasi. So this is the first Ekadasi of this year, and from past 3 years we are having this Ekadasi chanting. Thank you so much for encouraging all of us by coming and chanting with us, and also reading the glories of Ekadasi. So by reading the glories of Ekadasi, we get more taste for Ekadasi and chanting also. So without further ado, we will start reading. I request everybody to please raise your hands so everybody gets a turn to read, so that we all get a benefit of reading this Ekadasi Mahatya. So we will go by the raise hands. Yashumati Mataji, please start.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. और गरिष्ठ शिला प्रभुपाद and Shri Guru and Karanga. Putradaa Ekaadasii, Pausha-shukla Ekaadasii, the pious and saintly Yudhishthir Maharaj said, "O Lord, you have so nicely explained to us the wonderful glories of the Safala Ekaadasii, which occurs during the dark fortnight, Krishna Paksha, of the month of Pausha, December, January. Now please be merciful to me and explain to me the details of the Ekadashi that occurs in the light fortnight, Shukla or Gaura Paksha of this month. What is the name and what deity is to be worshipped on that sacred day? O Purushottama, O Rishikesh, please also tell me how you can be pleased on this day." Lord Shri Krishna then replied, "O saintly king, for the benefit of all humanity, I shall now tell you how to observe fasting on the Pausha-shukla Ekaadasii. As previously explained, everyone should observe the rules and regulations of the Ekadashi Vrata to the very best of their ability. This injunction also applies to the Ekadashi named Putradaa, which destroys all sins and elevates one to the spiritual abode. The Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji. Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah. This injunction also applies to the Ekadashi named Putradaa, which destroys all sins and elevates one to the spiritual abode. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Narayana, the original personality, is the worshipable deity of the Ekadashi, and for his faithful devotees, he happily fulfills all desires and awards full perfection. Thus, among all the animate and inanimate beings in the three worlds, lower, middle, and higher planetary systems, there is no better personality than Lord Narayana. O King, now I shall narrate to you the history of Putradaa Ekaadasii, which removes all kinds of sins and makes one famous and learned. There was once a kingdom named Bhadravati, which was ruled by King Suketuman. His queen was the famous Shaibhya because he had no son. He spent a long time in anxiety, thinking if I have no son, who will carry on my dynasty? In this way, the king meditated in a religious attitude for a very long time, thinking, where should I go? What should I do? How can I get a pious son, Putra? In this way, King Suketuman could find no happiness anywhere in his kingdom, even in his own palace, and soon he was spending more and more time inside his wife's palace, gloomily thinking only of how he could get a son. Thus, both King Suketuman and Queen Saibhya were in great distress. Even when they offered tarpana, oblations of water to their forefathers, their mutual misery made them think that it was as undrinkable as boiling water.
Thank you, Mataji. Shamagori Mataji, please go ahead.
They thus thought that they would have no uh, descendants to offer tarpan to them when they died, and thus become lost souls ghosts. The king and queen were especially upset to learn that their forefathers were worried that soon there would be no one to offer them tarpan also. And after learning of their forefathers' unhappiness, the king and queen became more and more miserable, and neither ministers, nor friends, nor even loved ones could cheer them up. To the king, his elephants and horses and infantry were no solace. And at last, he became practically inert and helpless. The king thought to himself, it is sad that without a son, marriage is wasted. Indeed, for a family man with no son, both his heart and his splendid horse remain vacant and miserable. When bereft of a son, a man cannot liquidate the debt that he owes his forefathers, the demigods, devas, and to their other human beings. Therefore, every married man should endeavor to beget a son. Thus, he will become famous within this world and at last attain the auspicious celestial realm. A son is proof of the pious activities a man performed in his past and 100 lifetimes, and such a person achieves a long duration of life in this world, along with good health and the great wealth possession.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay.
Mega Mataji, please go ahead and read, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Possessing sons and grandsons in this lifetime proves that one has worshipped Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the past. The great blessings of sons, wealth, and sharp intelligence can be achieved only by worshipping the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. That is my opinion. Thinking thus, the king had no peace. He remained in anxiety day and night from morning to evening, and from the time he lay down to sleep at night until the sun rose in the morning. His dreams were equally full of great anxiety. Suffering such constant anxiety and apprehension, King Suketuman decided to end his misery by committing suicide. But he realized that suicide throws a person into hellish conditions of rebirth, and so he abandoned that idea. Seeing that he was gradually destroying himself by his all-consuming anxiety over the lack of a son, The king at last mounted his horse and left for the dense forest alone. No one, not even the priests and Brahmins of the palace, knew where he had gone. In that forest, which was filled with deer and birds and other animals, King Suketuman wandered aimlessly, noting all the different kinds of trees and shrubs, such as the fig, bell fruit, date, palm, jackfruit, pakula, saptaparna, tinduka, and tilaka, as well as the shaila, tala, tamala, sarala, hingota, arjuna, labhera, aheda, salaki, karonda, patala, khaira, shaka, and palasha trees. All were beautifully decorated with fruits and flowers. He saw deer, tigers, wild boar, lions, monkeys, snakes, huge bull elephants in Erut, cow elephants with their calves, and 4 tusked elephants with their mates close by. There were cows, jackals, rabbits, leopards, and hippopotamuses.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Shivani Mataji, please go ahead. After this hippopotamus,
beholding all these animals accompanied by their mates and offsprings, the king remembered his own merengue, especially his place elephants, and became so sad that he had absent-mindedly wandered into their very midst. Suddenly the king heard a jackal howl in the distance. Startled, he began wandering about, looking around in all directions. Soon it was midday, and the king started to tire. He was tormented by hunger and thirst also. He thought, what sinful deed could possibly have done so that I am now forced to suffer like this, with my throat parched and burning, and my stomach empty and rumbling? I have pleased the devas, demigods, with numerous fire sacrifices and abundant devotional worship. I have given many gifts and delicious sweets in charity to all the worthy Brahmanas too, and I have taken care of my subjects as though they were my very own children. Why then I am suffering so? What unknown sins have come to bear fruit and torment me in this dreadful way? Absorbed in these thoughts, King Suleiman struggled forward, and eventually, due to his pious credits, he came upon a beautiful lotus-bearing pond that resembled the famous Lake Mansarovar. It was filled with aquatics, including crocodiles and many varieties of fish, and graced with varieties of lilies and lotuses.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. The beautiful lotus had opened to the sun, and swans, cranes, and ducks swan happily in its waters. Nearby were many attractive ashramas where there resides many saints and sages who could fulfill the desires of anyone. Indeed, they wished everyone's well. When the king saw all this, his right arm and the right eye began to quicker. Nursing for a female that something auspicious was about to happen for a male. Sorry, as the king dismounted his horse and stood before the sages who sat on the shore of pond, he saw that they were chanting the holy names of God on japa beads. The king paid his obeisances and joining his palms addressed them with glorified praises. Observing the respect the king offered them, the sages said, "We are very pleased with you, O king. Kindly tell us why you have come here." Replied, "O great sages, who are you? What are your names? Surely your presence reveals that you are auspicious saints. Why have you come to this beautiful place? Please tell me everything." The sages replied, "O king, we are known as wait, where is that word? We are known as the 10 Vishwa Devas, the sons of Vishwa, Vasu, Satya, Kartu, Daksha, Kala, Skamha, Dhrithi, Pururava, Madrava, and Kuru. We have come here to this very long pond to bathe. The month of Madhava Masa, will soon be here in 5 days from Magha Nakshatra. And today is the famous Putradaa Ekaadasii. One who desires a son should strictly observe this particular Ekadasi. Is there anybody raising hand? Okay, Shivani Mataji, continue.
The king said, I have tried so hard to heaven to have a son. If you great sages are pleased with me, kindly grant me the boon of having a good son, Putra. The very meaning of Putrada, the sages replied, is given, giver of a Putra, pious son. So please observe a complete fast on Lord. Sorry, what am I reading? So please observe a complete fast on this Ekadashi day. If you do so, then by our blessings and by the mercy of Lord Sri Keshava invested in us, surely you will obtain a son. On the advice of the Vishwadevas, the king observed the auspicious fast day of Putrada Ekadashi according to the established rules and regulations. And on the Dwadasi, after breaking the fast, he paid obeisances again and again to all of them. Soon after, Shukla Man returned to his palace and united with his queen, Queen Shivara immediately became pregnant. And exactly as the Vishwadevas had predicted, a bright-faced, beautiful son was born to them. In due course of time, he became famous as an heroic prince, and the Mataji, can you scroll up, please? Prince and the king gladly pleased his noble son by making him a successor, the son
Thank you,
of
Mataji.
own children.
Vega Mataji, can you
Hare Krishna.
complete it?
Hare Krishna. The son of Suketuman took care of his subjects very conscientiously, just as if they were his own children. In conclusion, O Yudhishthir, one who wishes to fulfill his desires should strictly observe Putradaa Ekaadasii. While on this planet, one who strictly observes this Ekadashi will surely obtain a son, and after death he will achieve liberation. Anyone who even reads or hears the glories of Putradaa Ekaadasii obtains the merit earned by performing an horse sacrifice. It is to benefit all humanity that I have explained all this to you. Thus ends the narration of the glories of Pausha-shukla Ekaadasii or Putradaa Ekaadasii from the Bhavishya Purana of Veda Vyaasadeva. Hare Krishna.
Thank you everyone for joining and reading the glories of Ekadasi. We will continue our chanting until 5 p.m. CST. Another 40 minutes.